Hello everyone, in this video, we will be seeing part 1 of What If Naruto Became the Crimson Speedster, and I hope you guys enjoy. So be sure to stick around until the end. Let's get started. Central City, home to Star Labs, one of the most advanced scientific research centers in the world. Star Labs attracted only the most intelligent and advanced people in the fields of engineering, physics, and biology. The lab was a fortress for the scientific elite, led by the brilliant Dr. Harrison Wells. Two of those scientists were Minato Namikaze and Kushina Uzumaki. Minato was the son of two Japanese citizens from Okinawa who immigrated to the East Coast before he was born. He was 100% Japanese American. Kushina was the daughter of a very important family in Japan and grew up there before moving to the US for college, which is where she met Minato. He was a physicist and engineer, while she was a biologist, and over the years the two developed a deep-rooted bond that could survive anything. They soon met Dr. Wells and worked with him on many projects over the years after he relocated to Central City and created Star Labs. When Dr. Wells started research and projects, Minato and Kushina were the first of his hires, so they moved to Central City. Despite Kushina's family wanting her to move back to Japan, she stayed in the US with her husband. Soon enough came their son, Naruto Namikaze, and the family pet fox, Kurama. Naruto was the spitting image of his father, except for his birthmarks, which took the shape of whiskers on his cheeks. Naruto had his father's looks but his mother's personality and was the little joy in their family. Naruto loved his parents and wanted to make them proud, which wasn't a problem since he was very smart and inherited their smart genes. He went through high school like it was nothing, and when he graduated he got a full ride to Hudson University in Central City to study theoretical physics. He was going to follow in his parents' footsteps. But tragedy soon struck as Naruto's parents were killed in a car crash during Naruto's senior year in college. With them dead, Naruto fell into a deep depression. He quit school just before he was going to graduate and sort of fell off the map. The death of his parents was hard, and he didn't know what he was going to do, until fate gave him an answer. Line break Tevsek start of canon, and 1 year after the death of Naruto's parents, today was the day in Central City, the day that the particle accelerator was going to be turned on. The whole city was abustle with incoming news crews and people to witness the possible event of the century. For one Barry Allen, it was his nerdy dream coming true. For Naruto Uzumaki, it was just another day in Central City. After a year of his parents' death, Naruto Namikaze changed. He dropped out of school, went home and collected his and his parents' belongings and lost the drive to keep pursuing science. Naruto had been staying at the city shelter since his parents' death, working in the shelter's kitchen to make money, and they gave him a small room so he and Kurama could stay. After a year, Naruto was still feeling the sting of his parents' loss. He finished his work for the day and walked around the city. He was wearing some jeans, a black shirt, and red button-up with his dad's orange jacket over. He walked around and saw the news crews driving by on their way to Star Labs. Naruto had to admit, it was interesting, but he stopped caring in that stuff when his parents died. Naruto went for a long walk to clear his head, and he found his way to the outskirts of Central City. Night soon came as he actually walked to the city limits of Central City. Naruto knew it would take forever to walk back, and there was a car garage further down the road so he could call a cab from there. Naruto kept walking as rain began to fall down, so he put up his hoodie and rushed for cover. He finally made it to the gas station when he heard a boom. He turned around and saw a bright orange light flare up in the middle of the city, and a huge energy wave blew past him. "Hey kid, get inside, it's not safe!" The garage owner shouted, so Naruto rushed over for cover. When he looked at the sky, he saw a large orange cloud form over the city and lightning crackle out before a giant bolt of lightning struck somewhere in the city. Then Naruto held his breath as another bolt of lightning came for him and hit him square on. The force threw him flying back and he landed on the ground. His clothes and shoes were a little burnt, and dark orange electricity seemed to flow inside his body. The garage owner saw what happened and rushed over to see if he was okay. He called an ambulance from the local hospital up the road to get him checked out. Line break Tex X. 9 months later after the Star Lab particle accelerator explosion, and things have changed. Naruto woke up in a small hospital outside of Central City. He had been in a coma for 9 months after being struck by lightning when the particle accelerator blew up. After hearing that, Naruto wondered why he was still alive. A lightning bolt to a human body should have killed him. But he felt great. He was completely fine, no change in his breathing, and he felt fine. His muscles weren't atrophy but were in a constant state of regeneration, which is how he woke up with a six-pack and more defined body muscle. After a few more hours in the hospital for observation, So that the doctors didn't find anything else wrong with him, Naruto was let go. He got a cab back to the city shelter, where he found Kurama waiting for him. Kurama was so happy to see that Naruto was alive. The owner of the city shelter, Tsunade, was happy that Naruto was alive. He was a good kid and she liked him. "Naruto, thank goodness you're okay," Tsunade said as the two hugged. "Thanks, Granny Tsunade," Naruto said to her, and she bopped him on the head. "Easy, Naruto. You may have waken up from a coma, but that doesn't mean I still won't hurt you," Tsunade warned. "All right, do you think I can get something to eat?" Naruto asked. "Sure, I've got a nice pot of ramen waiting," Tsunade said. "Awesome," Naruto exclaimed. They went inside and Tsunade was shocked. She saw Naruto eat over 40 bowls of ramen without stopping, and he was fine. The most he ate in one sitting was about 12 before he got sick, but he ate 40 bowls like it was nothing. "Wow, you must have been hungry," Tsunade pointed out. "Yeah, did you think I was going to eat that crappy hospital food?" Naruto joked as he finished his last bowl. "Ah, that was good. I'm glad, now you can do the dishes," Tsunade said. "I've got some errands to run, so do you mind?" "No, I can do it," Naruto assured her. "I'm really glad you're all right, Naruto," Tsunade said. "Thanks, Granny," Naruto joked as she left. Naruto got up and put his bowl in the sink. He then saw Kurama walk in, and sat on a chair to watch him. "Sorry, buddy. Wait a little longer and then I'll take you on a walk," Naruto said, and Kurama yipped. Naruto was washing dishes at a normal pace, scrubbing the pot with his sponge and then placing the clean bowls on the drying rack. Unfortunately, there were so many bowls that the rack was getting overstuffed. Naruto accidentally hit the rack, causing 3 bowls to fall to the floor, and then the weirdest thing happened. Time seemed to slow down like someone hit the slow-mo button. He saw the bowls drop to the ground, very, very slowly. Everything around him was slow, but he was still moving at a normal pace, so he grabbed the 3 falling bowls and put them on the counter. Naruto froze in place after that as things seemed to return to normal. Did that just happen? Did he just control time, or did he just move really fast? He put the kitchen sponge away when he saw his hands began vibrating so fast they were a blur. "What the hell is happening to me?" Naruto asked aloud. He took a step back and ended up crossing the distance of the kitchen in the blink of an eye. Naruto then looked at the remaining dishes and super sped to them and finished them in 3 seconds. "Whoa," Naruto muttered in amazement when he was hit with an idea. He walked outside the shelter to the back alley with Kurama following him. Naruto took off running, which quickly went from running at normal speed to super speed that he became a blur. He ended up running 20 blocks and then stopped in another alley. "Cool," Naruto said as he ran back and appeared before Kurama in a blur of motion. "Oh, Kurama, something amazing just happened to me. That lightning bolt turned me into a freaking roadrunner," Naruto joked, thinking back to the Looney Tunes character. Naruto then smelled burning rubber and looked at his shoes to see they were smoking. "Ah!" Naruto stomped around and quickly snuffed the fire. "Alright, there is one downside, friction and rubber don't really mix. But why is it that the lightning bolt changed me when other people who were struck never got these abilities?" Naruto said as he thought for a second. He then saw an old newspaper in the garbage. He picked it up and saw that it covered the ongoing reconstruction and damage from the particle accelerator. The particle accelerator. "Maybe my parents' old notes have some answers. Come on, boy," Naruto said as he and Kurama went to his room to go through his parents' notes. Naruto walked into his room and then got out the box that held his parents' notes from their work they did on helping Dr. Wells with the particle accelerator before they died. Naruto took a deep breath and opened it up to see some old papers, but also saw his dad's old goggles that he wore when he did experiments. Picture Naruto's goggles from the anime. "Wow, Dad, I always did like these," Naruto said as he took them out and hung them around his head. "Alright, let's get some answers." Naruto took out his parents' notes and read through them, reading his parents' trials and errors and hypotheses about the particle accelerator and what it could lead to. Advancements in medicine, technology, physics. The particle accelerator was a possible gateway to a whole new outlook on the world. After a few more hours of looking at notes, Naruto got nothing. His parents' stuff didn't really get him any closer to figuring out more about the particle accelerator. Kurama then yipped, which got Naruto's attention, and saw Kurama had an old photo of his parents with Dr. Wells, the head scientist behind the particle accelerator. "Dr. Wells, maybe he could have some answers for me. Good job, boy," Naruto said, as he pat Kurama on the head. But he then saw the time and saw it was 10:00 p.m. "Well, it might be a bit late. I'll see him tomorrow." He let out a yawn and went to bed, not knowing that near the outskirts of Central City, there was a fight between someone who could control the weather and someone very similar to Naruto, a speedster, line break XX. Naruto woke up the next morning feeling refreshed but also hungry. He got up, took a shower and got dressed, which led to his new issues, breakfast. Naruto went to the kitchen and knew that if he ate as much as he did yesterday, Tsunade would kill him. Naruto made a bowl of ramen and then grabbed his wallet and would eat out. On the way to Star Labs he stopped by Big Belly Burger and ordered about 10 meals, which he ate with gusto and would keep him good for a while. He walked to Star Labs not wanting to risk running and getting seen by someone, or end up crashing into a building. After about half an hour of walking, Naruto made his way to Star Labs. Naruto saw it was sanctioned off, and there were parts of the building that were being rebuilt. He walked past the gates and up to the main entrance. He rang the bell and walked in. "Hello, Dr. Wells, it's Naruto Namikaze. I don't know if you remember me, but you should remember my parents. I would like to talk," Naruto shouted. Inside Star Labs, Dr. Wells was talking with his assistants Dr. Caitlin Snow, Cisco Ramon and Barry Allen. After Barry's woke up from his coma and the discovery of his new powers, Dr. Wells, Caitlin and Cisco worked on understanding more about them. Last night, Barry found out that he wasn't the only one affected by the particle accelerator, and that the accelerator explosion dispersed around the entire city, possibly affecting hundreds of people. After the discovery, Barry decided to use his powers to help put away the new meta-humans that would harm the city, and with a new suit from Cisco, he was going to do that. Unfortunately, there is still some issues between the group as Barry has been using his powers to help save the city, while Caitlin says they agreed to focus on meta-humans. "Have you both lost your minds? Who do you think you are?" Caitlin asked Barry and Cisco. "Well, I'm the eyes and ears and he's the feet," Cisco answered. "This is not funny. You could have gotten yourself killed. You can't be running around the city like some supersonic fireman." Caitlin warned him. "Why not? This is what we talked about, me using my speed to do good," Barry said. "We talked about you helping us contain other people who may have been affected by the particle accelerator explosion. Metahumans, and aside from Clyde Martin, we haven't found any," Caitlin told him. "People in this city still need help and I can help them," Barry pointed out. "We can help them," Cisco added. "Will you say something?" Caitlin asked Dr. Wells. "I think what Caitlin is saying in her own spectacular, angry way is that we are just beginning to understand what your body is capable of. Not to sound like a broken record, Mr. Allen, I do caution restraint," Dr. Wells said. "Dr. Wells, I doubt restraint is how you got to be the man you are today," Barry pointed out. "In a wheelchair and a pariah, lack of restraint is what made me these things. Know your limits," Dr. Wells cautioned. "Don't expect me to patch you up every time you break something." Caitlin warned him and left. "Hey, is everything okay? The sensors in your suit kicked back some weird telemetry, like your vitals spiked for a few seconds," Cisco said to Barry. "Never felt better," Barry replied when his phone went off. Joe needed him at an active crime scene, so Barry then super sped away, but didn't change. "When do you think he'll realize he didn't bring his clothes?" Dr. Wells asked as the computer went off. "What's going on?" "Someone walked in the front entrance. Hang on, I'll bring up the camera footage." Cisco brought up the security footage from the main entrance camera feed, and they saw a young man standing there. "Hello, Dr. Wells, it's Naruto Namikaze. I don't know if you remember me, but you should remember my parents. I would like to talk," they heard over the microphone. "I don't believe it," Dr. Wells said, remembering who that boy was. "Wait, did he say Namikaze?" Cisco asked. "As in Dr. Namikaze? He was one of the lead researchers at Star Labs for years." "I remember Minato was a great scientist and a good friend," Dr. Wells said. "Yeah, that guy was brilliant and hilarious, but who's this kid?" Cisco asked. "That would be his son," Dr. Wells said, and Cisco was surprised to hear that. "He and Kushina were married for years when I worked with them. Naruto was born before they moved to Central City. He was quite a brilliant young man. I would have eventually brought him to Star Labs, but his parents' death hit him quite hard. I can only imagine. I heard from the other scientists who worked here that they were great people. I can't imagine how hard it must have hit him," Cisco commented. "Yes, it was hard. After their death, he sort of fell off the grid. I'll go talk to him," Dr. Wells said as he rolled out of the lab towards the front entrance. Naruto stood in the entrance of Star Labs, looking at one of the old photos that was hung up that showed Dr. Wells and his parents. They were happy, and things were a lot simpler back then. "Reminiscing, are we, Naruto?" Dr. Wells asked. "A little. It's good to see you again, Dr. Wells," Naruto said, and the two shook hands. "Haven't heard that in a long time. You can imagine that after the incident not many people are eager to meet me, Dr. Wells pointed out. Well, that wasn't your fault, Dr. Wells. You couldn't have known what would happen, Naruto said as Dr. Wells chuckled. Your father would have said the same thing. Your mother, on the other hand, would probably wring my neck for not taking some more safety precautions. Dr. Wells joked. Well, my mother was always the more paranoid one, always worrying about people's safety, Naruto said as Dr. Wells looked at him. Naruto, I know we never really got to talk after your parents' funeral, but I am sorry about your parents' death. They were both great friends and they meant a lot to many people, including me. Dr. Wells told him. Thanks, I just wish they were alive now, Naruto said. I'm sure if they were, they would still be proud of you, Dr. Wells assured him. I doubt that. I quit my fast track in science. I don't think they'd like that, Naruto pointed out. I think that your parents would be proud of you, no matter what, Dr. Wells said as Naruto smiled. So is there something else that brings you to Star Labs, or was this just a social visit after 2 years? Actually, it isn't, sorry, but I was hoping to talk to you about something that I believe only you could answer. And what would that be? Dr. Wells asked as he and Naruto walked through the first floor of Star Labs. I was looking over some of my parents' old notes and I had some questions on a certain project. The particle accelerator, Naruto said as Dr. Wells raised an eyebrow. What interest do you have in the particle accelerator? Dr. Wells asked. Well, I was wondering if the explosion 9 months ago may have changed some things around the city. I began to notice some interesting things going on in the city. Really, and you think that the particle accelerator had something to do with that? Dr. Wells questioned. Possibly. I was looking through my dad's old notes on the project, and he hypothesized that the particle accelerator could lead to some changes and discoveries in science, the foundation and discovery of theoretical elements, dark energy, antimatter, etc. Maybe the explosion actually changed something, Naruto said as Dr. Wells looked at Naruto and smiled. I can see there is still a spin there, Naruto said. Well, Naruto, despite our great theories and hunches on the project, the night of the explosion prevents us from figuring out what exactly happened, but I can assure you that there is no great danger to the city, Dr. Wells said as Naruto nodded. Maybe not danger, but great change. I mean, something must have happened that night. The explosion and that energy wave that was sent out, I mean, something must have changed, Naruto said. Your guess is as good as mine on this one, Naruto. I'm afraid I just don't have the answers for you, Dr. Wells said as Naruto nodded. Thanks anyway. It was good to see you, Naruto said as he left as Dr. Wells spoke. Naruto, are you feeling all right? You just seem to have a different energy about yourself than I've seen before, Dr. Wells said. People change, Doctor. I guess I did, Naruto said as he left. Naruto was walking through the city after his meeting with Dr. Wells and knew that Wells wasn't telling him something, but he would have to figure it out on his own. Naruto went to get a cup of coffee and ate donuts on his way back to the shelter. As he was eating his 7th donut, he saw on TV that Simon Stagg, head of Stagg Industries, was receiving an award today for his research in organ transplants. Naruto just shook his head. He remembered what his parents told him about Simon Stagg. That guy was a good scientist but had a history of stealing ideas and research from others. He even tried it with one of his dad's inventions, but Stagg could never understand it. He then heard some police sirens go by as police cars sped by. Naruto wondered what was going on. He was curious. He finished his donut, ran into the alley, zipped up his hood and put on his dad's goggles and super sped away, following the police cars. He eventually found his way to Stagg Industries and saw police cars outside taking witness statements. Naruto then took off his hood and goggles and blended in with the crowd. He walked around and heard that there was a robbery by 6 men wearing ski masks and armed with guns. The police think it was a robbery, but some say it has to do with Mr. Stagg, that he was the possible target but left just in time. He also heard a police officer talking to a security guard and how he was whisked away during the robbery by something. Naruto heard enough and walked away from Stagg Industries on his way home. I guess Dr. Wells was wrong. Something did happen the night the accelerator blew, and it seems that something happened to someone who has abilities like me, Naruto said out loud as he walked home. Naruto looked at his shoes and saw they were worn out a little, and the soles were scorched. He needed new shoes. Naruto stopped by a sports store and got some new running shoes. Hopefully they would fare better. After that he went back to the shelter and listened to the news and sat down on his bed as Kurama curled up next to him. He listened as there were some reports about a new red streak that has appeared in the city saving people. Naruto got up and looked at an old photo of him with his parents a few days before they were killed. Naruto then looked at the goggles on his desk and smiled. I guess that lightning bolt did change me into something greater. Something did happen that night of the particle accelerator explosion, and I'm going to show the world that it did some good. Like me in this streak, I'm going to show that the explosion led to something amazing, Naruto said, determined to use his new powers to help people, like the streak, line break, XX. The next morning Naruto got up early, determined to make his parents proud and try to help people with new abilities. He put on his jacket and hung his goggles around his neck, and did some research at the local library on the night of the explosion. He looked up newspaper articles on disappearances and deaths, blog posts about unexplained activity, and looked up the old weather reports from the day of the explosion. Naruto was working on his research and watching the news when a new story came in. A person was murdered and beaten to death outside one of Stag's buildings. Naruto raised an eyebrow at that. 2 incidents concerning Stag. That wasn't a coincidence. Naruto packed his stuff away and decided to do a little harmless snoopy at the police precinct for a lead. Naruto put on his jacket and kept his goggles on his forehead as he super sped to the police precinct. He then saw a detective talking with his partner about going to talk with Stag about the murder of his head of security. Naruto smirked as he followed the car to one of Stag's warehouses and just waited outside while the detective went in. Naruto then got hungry and quickly went to get something to eat. Detective Joe West and his partner Detective Eddie Thawne were speaking to Mr. Stag that he might be a possible target. Do you honestly think that someone is trying to kill me? Stag asked. Well, we're not sure, Mr. Stag, but an event honoring you was robbed at gunpoint, Thawne said, and your head of security was found murdered this morning. Joe added. I am a scientist and a philanthropist. We are often the targets of assassins, Stag said. Well, what about lawsuits? You have about 20 of those pending against you, Joe said. It is a sad fact of life, detective, that when you earn a lot of money, people who have none think they can take yours, Stag said. People like this guy, for example, Joe said as he showed Stag a picture. Danton Black. Danton Black, Stag said. You fired him and now he's suing you, Joe said. Unfortunately, our working relationship wasn't successful, but I can assure you both of one thing. Danton Black is not a killer. He's a clinical researcher, not a criminal mastermind. Now if I can help you in any way, please let me do. I want these people caught too, Stag said. Then here we are. Stag heard as he turned to see 3 of the gunmen from the robbery. Down, Joe yelled as he and Thawne pushed Stag to the ground and took cover. Joe fired back as the gunman took cover. Back with Barry Allen, he was walking through the police precinct when he saw everyone in was a hurry and getting suited up. Captain, what's going on? Barry asked. Not now, Barry. An armed gunman is shooting up Stag Industries, the captain said as Barry super sped back to his lab and got his suit. Naruto just finished eating his quick snack of 10 hamburgers when he saw a streak run through the city. Naruto figured it was the mysterious savior, but then remembered the detectives at Stag Industries and quickly followed. Joe covered Thawne as he got Stag to safety. Joe managed to kill one of the gunmen, and saw the leader take off his mask to reveal he was Danton Black. Danton then began to shake as he sprung up a copy of himself who took a spare gun. Joe was shocked as he, the third gunman, take off his mask to reveal another clone. The Danton Blacks then marched forward and fired at Joe as he took cover, but then a streak whisked by and grabbed Black's guns and threw them on the ground. Joe looked up to see Barry in his outfit. Go, Barry said. No, Joe replied as Barry whisked Joe outside the warehouse. Naruto arrived and saw the detective whisked outside, so he decided to head inside and see what was going on. Naruto put on his goggles and super sped past Joe and into the building. Joe felt a push of wind hit him as the door opened and closed. What the hell? Naruto arrived in the warehouse and saw a guy in a red suit getting the shit kicked out of him by some guys making copies of himself. They were beating the crap out of him and then threw him against a shelf. Barry sat up and grabbed his side in pain and saw the blacks pointing guns at him, but before they could shoot, Barry saw a blur run past and take their guns. What the hell? Black shouted as the blur came back and knocked all the blacks on their ass. Barry was shocked and turned to see the back of the blur and saw it was a guy with blonde hair wearing an orange and white jacket. One of the blacks got up, grabbed a gun and fired at the second blur, but he super sped out of the way and came back, knocking Black to the ground. The original Black then got up and ran away as Barry ran as well to catch his breath and rest. Naruto then super sped away outside of the warehouse and saw the cops arrive. He took off his goggles and smiled. That was awesome. Man, I've got to get a suit like that guy, Naruto said as he ran home. Line break XX. Barry then ran back to Star Labs, as Caitlin tended to his scratches and bruises while Cisco looked over his suit. Caitlin dabbed them with an alcohol wipe as Barry grunted in pain. "Sorry, the abrasions are already rapidly healing," Caitlin said. "Yeah, I got my ass handed to me," Barry said. "You got blood on my suit," Cisco said as he was going over the suit and cleaning it. "I think some of it belongs to him, another not-so-friendly metahuman," Barry said as Dr. Wells brought up the file of Black on the screen. "Danton Black. He's a biogeneticist specializing in therapeutic cloning, growing new organs to replace failing ones," Dr. Wells said. "Apparently Stagg stole his research and then fired him," Caitlin added. "I saw Black create duplicates from his own body," Barry said. "Huh. That's pretty ironic. The guy specialized in cloning and now he can make Xeroxes of himself," Cisco said. "He was experimenting on himself when he was exposed to the dark matter wave released by the particle accelerator?" "Meet Captain Clone," Cisco said as they looked at him. "Don't worry, I'll come up with something cooler." Barry was walking away as Caitlin spoke. "Where are you going?" she asked as Barry turned. "Joe was right. I'm in way over my head. I'm not Warrior. I could barely fight one metahuman, let alone 6. I had to have my ass saved in order to get out of there," Barry said as that brought a question. "Saved?" Caitlin asked. Dr. Wells then saw that Barry had a look on his face. "Did something else happen at Stagg Industries?" Dr. Wells asked. "I wasn't the only one struck by lightning the night of the explosion," Barry said as they were confused. "There is someone else out there like me, with my powers. He's just as fast and he took out the clones to give me time to escape," Barry said as they thought for a moment. "Was it the man in yellow?" Cisco asked. "No, it wasn't him, but whoever it is just like me. But he seems to know what he's doing. If you guys want to keep doing this, find him," Barry said as he was about to leave, but Dr. Wells spoke. "Barry, I understand your frustration. Today was a setback, but every grand enterprise has them and we can never learn how to fly without crashing a few times," Dr. Wells said. "This wasn't a grand enterprise. This was a mistake," Barry said as he super sped away. "Now what?" Cisco asked as Wells thought for a moment. "Caitlin, look at the blood we collected. See if there is anything useful we can learn," Wells said as Caitlin nodded. "Cisco, look up our scans from the night of the explosion. Let's see if we can find who this new streak is," Wells said as Cisco nodded. Cisco went to a computer and saw Wells leaving. "Where are you going, Dr. Wells?" Cisco asked. "To talk to someone," Wells said as he left. Naruto super sped back home and relaxed as he sat on his bed and finished his dinner of 40 cups of instant ramen. He slurped the last one and burped. "Man, these powers are great, but my appetite is starting to get annoying, not to mention expensive," Naruto said as he looked at his empty wallet. He sat down as Kurama jumped onto his lap and got comfortable. "You should have seen me today, Kurama. I ran right in and knocked those clone guys on their butts. It was awesome," Naruto said, excited while Kurama just laid down. "And you should have seen the guy in the red suit. It was the red streak that's been going around the city. I wonder who he is," Naruto said out loud as he laid on his bed. "But you know one thing, boy, that guy is going to try again, and the orange flash will be there," Naruto said as Kurama just huffed. "Don't like the name?" Well, I'm not going with the streak, that's lame," Naruto said, as he thought about names for himself. Line break XX. At the police precinct, Joe was talking to Simon Stagg about what happened, and wanted Stagg under police protection. "Mr. Stagg, I wish you would consider our offer for protective custody. Danton Black has proven that he is willing to kill and he's got, friends, and trust me, they are all dangerous," Joe said. "I've increased my security, detective. I hope Black comes looking for trouble 'cause he'll find plenty," Stagg said, as they heard clapping and saw Dr. Wells by the elevator. "Spoken like a true philanthropist. Or is it humanitarian? I'm sorry, I can never remember which one you're pretending to be, Simon," Wells said as he entered the room. "Harrison, don't get up," Stagg joked. "Ha ha." Wells faked laughed as Stagg left. "Not a fan of yours, Doctor," Joe said, pointing to Stagg. "Can we talk detective?" Wells asked as Joe nodded. "So you were right. Barry's not the only one who's special. This guy that tried to kill Simon Stagg today, he could replicate spontaneously." "Yeah, we know," Wells said. "Did you know about Barry? When he was first in his coma, you came to the hospital and you asked me if you could take him to Star Labs. Did you know what he could do?" Joe asked as Wells chuckled. "I had my suspicions that he was affected," Wells said as Joe, "Hey Joe, I was never looking to become the senior member of a secret crime-fighting unit. You and I both know we are the only ones equipped to protect Central City." Wells said, "Maybe I'm the only one interested in protecting Barry, but of course he all ready to fly along into the fire right with you," Joe said. "No, he's not. Not anymore, he quit," Wells said as Joe was surprised. "He didn't tell you?" "I haven't seen him," Joe said. Well, I'm sure it's only temporary. From what I know of Barry, when he sets his mind to something, no one can talk him out of it. But the next time he suits up, whoosh, runs headlong into danger, he will fail. Why? He doesn't think he's capable. Doubt is his real enemy, Joe, not whatever's lurching out there. And as long as you continue to doubt him, he'll keep doubting himself. Wells said, as he was leaving. And for the record, I care about him too, Wells said as he left. After Barry sort of quit from the team, he found his way to the coffeehouse where Iris worked. Eddie stopped by as the three watched the news coverage of the attack at Stag Industries. Barry and Iris hung out with Barry eating about 10 plates of pound cake. Guess you were hungry, Iris said as she brought over a cup of water and sat down. Stress eating. I came to say I'm sorry, and you're right, I have been distant. Barry said. Correct, Iris said. Kind of a jerk, Barry said as Iris smiled. You should really apologize more often, you're really sensational about it. Iris joked as Barry chuckled. So what were you going to tell me the other day? I thought I had to do something I thought was important, but it turns out that I'm not very good at it. In fact, there is another guy who is better at the job, but what I am good at is being your friend, so if you need help coming up with a new topic for your article, Barry said. I already found one. Something that actually interests me, Iris said as she got up and went to her tablet, and Barry followed. I know this is going to sound crazy, it's been all over the internet these past few days. At a building fire, at a bank heist, even the other night when those robbers shot at the security guard, he said he was whooshed outside. Something out there is saving people, Iris said as Barry saw she was researching him. I thought you were taking journalism, not science fiction writing, Barry said. Ever since I have known you, you have believed in the impossible. What if you were right? What if you were right about the night your mom died? I've even heard some rumors that there may be more than one of these guys out there. Iris said as Barry's phone rang, and it was from Star Labs. Look, I told you I'm through, Barry said as he answered the phone. I know, but you need to get to Star Labs right now, Catelyn said. Barry said goodbye to Iris and ran to Star Labs and was ready to fight when he saw Danton Black in the lab. Barry, it's okay, Catelyn said as she saw him ready to fight. It is not okay. Black is here and he's just standing there. That's not him, is it? Barry said as he saw that Black wasn't moving or blinking. It's one of his replicates, Wells said. How did you get it? Barry asked. I grew him, Catelyn said as she brought up some computers to help explain. I isolated a drop of Black's blood from your suit to see if I could trigger the in vitro cultivation process and figure out how Black multiplies, so I exposed the target cells to a protein gel and they started replicating into that. Catelyn said as Barry was poking the clone, but it wasn't moving. Why isn't it doing anything? Barry asked. We did a brain scan, involuntary motor functions are active but little else is, Wells said. We think it's acting as a receiver, Cisco said. The clones are an empty shell without Black. Shut down the real Black, and you might shut them all down, Catelyn said. How do we figure out who's the real Danton Black? Barry asked. That occurred to me too, given your own passing out. Black has limits just like you. Controlling all of those clones must require a tremendous amount of physical strength. So look for the ones showing signs of weakness or fatigue. He's the prime, Catelyn said. Just a theory, but one you might want to put to the test, Mr. Allen, Wells said. Plus I whipped up these high-calorie protein bars for you to keep your metabolism up, Cisco said as Barry smiled. Then the clone began to move as Catelyn screamed, but before it could leave it was shot dead with a double tap to the chest, as Joe walked in with his gun out. Any more of them? Joe asked. Nope, Catelyn said. Why did it start moving? Barry asked. Prime, my guess the Prime is on the move and this one heard the summons to battle, Wells said. And I know where he was summoned to, Stag Industries, Joe said. You should call it in, Barry said to him. Police can't fight this, what Black's become. Like Martin, beyond me, maybe way beyond them too. The only person it's not beyond is you. You gotta do this, I get it, so for once in your life do what I tell you to do, go stop him, Joe said as Barry nodded and got suited up. Line break XX. It was night, as Naruto was walking through the city, waiting to sprint into action should something happen. He figured that the gunman would try again, but he didn't know where. As Naruto was walking through the city, he heard a buzz like electricity, and saw the streak whiz past the street and kept running. Alright, more action, Naruto said excited, as he ran into an alley and super sped after the streak, in an attempt to keep up. Naruto stopped outside of Stag Industries' main building, and saw the streak rush in and whisk someone away. Naruto snuck up to the building and saw the gunmen at He Warehouse make more copies of himself, and they were patrolling the building. All right, let's do this, Naruto said as he put his goggles on and ran inside the building. Naruto ran inside the building and saw the streak run through the building and take out the gunman, talking about how Stag stole his research and because of that, his wife died. Naruto then saw the streak take out the last of the clones, which caused Black to concentrate and make more as dozens spawned and ran towards the streak. Naruto then super sped down, and before the clones to reach Barry, he saw a blur knock down a group of clones. Barry turned to see the same guy from the warehouse that saved him. Black sent out dozens of more clones at the two speedsters as Naruto ran from his, while Barry tried to fight but got overwhelmed and surrounded. Naruto then rushed back and knocked down the clones one by one, as he made his way over to the red streak, but there were so many that one was able to trip Naruto, causing him to fall to the ground. Some of the clones began to beat up Naruto as he grunted in pain, so he and the streak quickly super sped away, with Naruto able to head to one of hallways, while Barry super sped to the other main room. "There's way too many of them to fight," Barry said as he contacted the others at Star Labs. "Barry, you need to isolate the Prime," Wells told him. "I can't, it's impossible." Barry said, "Nothing is impossible, Barry, you taught me that, you can do this," Joe told him. Barry turned to see an army of black clones heading towards. Barry concentrated and ran. "Arr!" Barry yelled as he super sped towards the clones, knocking them down, punching them away, and running through the army of them to find the real Danton Black. He pushed his way past two blacks and saw the real Black behind all the clones, straining and sweating as he controlled all of them. Barry then tackled Black and ran up 10 flights of stairs and knocked him against a pillar, knocking him out. Barry caught his breath as she saw the clones had all passed out and smiled. Barry, are you all right?" Barry heard Joe say over the comlink. "I'm fine, it's done," Barry said as he turned around and quickly moved out of the way, as Black ran past him and jumped out the window. Barry then super sped over and managed to grab Black before he fell and tried to pull him back inside. "Hang on." "No," Black yelled as he created a second hand from the one that Barry was holding to get his hand free. "Don't," Barry yelled as Black managed to get free and fell. Naruto ran outside and saw Black falling and quickly super sped over and tackled Black out of the air, catching him at the last minute. Naruto rolled off the ground as he saw Black stand up and take a gun and pointed at his head. "No!" Naruto yelled as he pulled the trigger and killed himself. Naruto and Barry froze as they saw someone they just saved kill himself. Naruto looked up and saw the streak, and then heard sirens and super sped away, as Barry saw the other streak run with an orange and white lightning trail. Line break, Tex X. Barry arrived back at Star Labs and got out of his outfit. Joe was called in to Stag Industries while Barry and the others were watching the news coverage of Black's death, with the news saying the employee committed suicide. "I tried to save him," Barry said. "Sounds like he didn't want to be saved." "Some people when they break, they can't be put back together," Wells said. "Some people heal even stronger," Barry said as Wells nodded. "I hope so," Wells said. "Well, at least Multiplex won't be able to hurt anyone else," Cisco said as they looked at him. "Told you I come up with a cool name," Cisco said as they chuckled. "You know, I may be the one in the suit doing all the running, but when I'm out there helping people, making a difference, you're all out there with me. I finally realized something, we were all struck by that lightning." As they smiled. "Speaking of which, I have some good news," Dr. Wells said as he brought up a screen showing weather activity from when the particle accelerator exploded. "I pulled up weather data and photos from the night of the particle explosion, and it seems along with the storm came 2 lightning strikes. One hit you in your lab while the other hit here," Wells said as he showed an image of a parking garage near the outskirts of Central City. "The lightning strike hit near the city limits. Any way of knowing who was hit during the storm?" Barry asked. "Not yet, but I'll cross-reference some data to see if I can find something," Wells said. "Whoever this guy is, something tells me that he wants to help," Barry said. "Time will tell, Mr. Allen, but for the time being, until we find this person, you are the only lightning man we should trust," Wells said, as Barry nodded and left to head back to his lab. Back with Naruto, he zoomed back to his room at the shelter and sat on the bed and tossed a burger wrapper in the trash. A little late-night snack before bed. "Man, I can't believe that guy would still try to kill himself even after I saved him," Naruto said as he laid down and Kurama jumped on the bed and laid next to him. "I'll tell you one thing, Kurama. This hero business isn't that easy," Naruto said as he looked at the ceiling. "I guess not everyone wants to be saved by a hero," Naruto said as he went to bed. Back with Dr. Wells after everyone had left, he strolled to one of the walls in the hallway, pressed a switch on his chair and opened a secret door. He strolled into the white room and then stood up and took off his glasses. He then walked to a console and activated it as holographic screen came up showing a newspaper front page from 10 years in the future. The headline was, "Flash Vanishes After Crisis and Impulse Hospitalized," and showed a picture of the Flash and Impulse as Dr. Wells smiled. "Everything is going according to plan," Dr. Wells said. Line break XX. After the end of Multiplex, things went back to somewhat normal. Barry and his team were together and ready to help save the city as well as track down this news streak that has been helping Barry, which was the major priority as of the moment. Dr. Wells, Cisco, and Caitlin tried to track down the person who was struck by second bolt of lightning, but it was difficult to identify the person who was exposed. If this person was like Barry, and there weren't any reports until recently, then he was probably in a coma. Unfortunately, Central City General Hospital had only one coma patient, and that was Barry. The group was at Star Labs running through some leads as Dr. Wells explained some leads there were following. So we figured that another person was struck by the lightning infused by the particle accelerator, but what has been difficult is identifying the person struck. Central City General only admitted one coma patient. Dr. Wells said. "Me," Barry said. "Exactly. You were the only person struck and admitted to the hospital, so we didn't know if another person was hit," Caitlin said. "So now we're trying to find other leads. We've sent out requests to local hospitals near the spot where the lightning hit, asking about any coma patients that were admitted about 9 months ago," Cisco said as the computer beeped with a message. "And it looks like we did. One of the local hospitals outside of Central City did receive a coma patient the day of the explosion," Dr. Wells said. "Who?" Caitlin asked. "Unfortunately, they can't disclose that information without a police warrant or a detective badge," Dr. Wells said. "I've got that covered," Barry said as he super sped out of there into the police precinct to talk to Joe. "So why do you need my help?" Joe asked Barry. "To get some patient files from a local hospital outside the city," Barry said. "Why do you need some patient's files?" Joe asked. "Joe, someone else was struck by lightning the same night I was," Barry said as Joe's was shocked. "You mean there is someone else out there like you?" Joe said. "Yeah, but he was treated at a different hospital, which is why Dr. Wells didn't find him," Barry said. "That would explain something. When Black shot up Stag Industries and you whooshed me out, something else whooshed in. I'm guessing that's the other person you're talking about," Joe said. "This guy seems like he wants to help, but we need to find out who he is," Barry said. "All right, let me get my keys," Joe said. "Don't need them," Barry said as he super sped Joe to the hospital. "Whoa," Joe said as Barry chuckled. "Cool, huh?" Barry asked. "Yeah, but I think I'll stick to driving," Joe said as they walked into the hospital and to the front desk. "Hi, can I help you?" the nurse asked. "Yes, my name is Detective Joe West with the Central City Police Department. I'm here to get some information on a patient you admitted 9 months ago," Joe said. "What patient would that be?" the nurse said as she brought up the files on the computer. "He was a coma patient who got struck by lightning 9 months ago," Barry said. "Ah, Naruto. Oh, he was a sweet boy. 1 second, I'll get the file." "Can I ask what this is about? He's not in trouble, is he?" the nurse asked. "No, just like to ask him some questions," Joe said as the nurse got the file. "Here you go," the nurse said. "Thank you," Joe said as he and Barry left. "So our other roadrunner is Naruto Namikaze," Joe said. "What, Namikaze?" Barry asked. "Yeah, that's what it says," Joe said, "because there was a scientist at Star Labs by the name of Minato Namikaze. I read he worked with Dr. Wells on the particle accelerator project," Barry said. "Maybe Dr. Wells can fill you in. I'll track down his known address and see if I can get in touch with his parents," Joe said as Barry nodded and super sped away. "Could have at least got me back to the precinct," Joe said as he called a cab. Dr. Wells, Cisco, and Caitlin were working on other leads and tracking down odd leads for possible meta-human sightings when Barry whooshed in. "I got the hospital records. Our coma patient is Naruto Namikaze," Barry said as Dr. Wells, Caitlin, and Cisco were shocked. "Why do you all look so shocked?" "Because I know him," Dr. Wells said. "You do?" Barry asked. "Naruto Namikaze is the son of Minato Namikaze and Kushina Uzumaki. Both were scientists who have worked with me over the years and worked on the particle accelerator. Naruto is their son and was a very promising scientist to be until his parents were killed in a car crash 2 years ago. He took their death very hard. He quit school and sort of went off the grid. He came to see me a few days ago asking if the particle accelerator explosion may have had some side effects. I see now he was talking about what happened to him." Dr. Wells said, "All right, well then let's find him and talk to him," Barry said, as he got a call from the precinct about multiple homicides dealing with the Darbinian crime family. "You go do your job. Cisco, Caitlin, and I can handle Naruto," Dr. Wells said as Barry super sped away. Line break XX. The CCPD arrived at a restaurant, and were greeted with an empty restaurant and 9 dead bodies. All of them were high-ranking members of the Darbinian crime family. Barry concluded his primary autopsy as Joe walked up to him. "Barry, anything?" Joe asked. "Signs of histotoxic hypoxia. The cells in their bodies weren't able to utilize oxygen. It's consistent with exposure to poison gas," Barry said. "Why kind of poison?" Joe asked. "I'll need to take a lung sample, see if I can narrow it down," Barry said as Joe nodded and Thawne walked up to Joe. "The only other exit was bolted from the inside. They were trapped. I was thinking someone pumped gas in from the outside, but witnesses say the street was empty," Thawne said. "So it was from the inside, then there should be a canister or container left behind. The gas just didn't come in by itself," Joe said. "Unless it had a mind of its own," Barry said as Thawne looked at him like he was crazy but then chuckled as it was another wild theory of his. "Eddie, would you mind canvassing again? Someone had to have seen something," Joe said as Eddie nodded and he left, and he then turned to Barry. "Okay, explain." "The boss collapsed near the table, this guy made it 10 feet away, and that guy had the chance to fire 3 shots into the window trying to break the glass. But they all started in the same spot. Which means that they all should have been exposed to the gas at the same time, but it's as if they were targeted one by one," Joe said, finishing Barry's sentence. "My gut feeling, if we're gonna solve this, we're gonna need backup," Joe said. In the other part of town, Dr. Wells, Cisco, and Caitlin were able to find the current address of Naruto, the Central City shelter. They all got out of the car and looked at where they were. "Man, he lives here," Cisco said. "I guess when your parents are gone and you quit school, you don't have many options left," Caitlin said. "Come on, let's find him," Dr. Wells said as they entered the shelter to see a blonde woman with a large bust talking with another woman with black hair and carrying a baby pig. "Hello, can we help you?" the blonde woman asked. "Yes, my name is Dr. Harrison Wells. This is Cisco Ramon and Caitlin Snow. We're from Star Labs and we're here to see a resident of yours," Dr. Wells said. "And who would that be?" the other woman asked. "Naruto Namikaze," Dr. Wells said. "Ah, you must be the Dr. Wells that worked with Naruto's parents," the blonde woman said. "I am," Dr. Wells said. "My name is Tsunade Senju, and this is my home. This is my assistant Shizune," Tsunade said. "It's nice to meet you," Shizune said. "So what do you want with Naruto?" Tsunade asked. "Just to talk to him," Dr. Wells said. "I'm surprised that you know who I am." "Naruto told me about you," Tsunade said. "He did?" Dr. Wells asked. "Not at first, but after some time here and when he finally got comfortable, he talked about his past and his parents, how they worked at Star Labs, and how they worked with you on this particle accelerator project," Tsunade said. "Minato and Kushina were very good people. I owe them a lot. And I'm sorry to say that I couldn't be there for Naruto when he needed me. But I hope to make up for that." Dr. Wells said, "Well, let's go see if he's in his room," Tsunade said, as Tsunade showed them through the shelter to Naruto's room. "So, Naruto lives here?" Caitlin asked. "He does. He came looking for a job, so I hired him to help tidy around the place, and in exchange he gets a pay and a room here as well," Tsunade said. "He also helps the kids with their homework. He's a very brilliant young boy," Shizune said. "That he is," Dr. Wells said as Tsunade knocked on the door to Naruto's room. "Naruto, you have guests," Tsunade said as there was no answer. Tsunade knocked again but still no answer, so Tsunade opened the door, and they saw Naruto was not in his room but Kurama was. "Oh, who's the cutie?" Caitlin asked as Kurama walked over to Caitlin and pet himself against her as she pet his head. "That would be Kurama. He was Naruto's family pet. We've met on more than one occasion," Dr. Wells said, as Kurama walked over to Dr. Wells and he pet the fox's head. "I guess Naruto isn't here," Cisco said as they looked around and saw Naruto's room. It was basic. He had a bed, dresser, and a desk. Some old photos and snack packages around. A lot of snack packages, and then they saw some old files and worksheets. Dr. Wells went up to the files and saw they were Minato's old worksheets. Looks like Naruto tried to use his father's research to make sense of what was going on. Dr. Wells said, "What is going on? Why do you people need Naruto?" Tsunade asked, protective of Naruto. "We would just like to talk to him about his accident that occurred over 9 months ago, that's it. If you see him, tell him to come to Star Labs, we'd like to talk," Dr. Wells said as they left. Line break XX. After Dr. Wells, Caitlin, and Cisco struck out at the shelter, they returned to Star Labs where Joe and Barry were waiting for them with another metahuman case. A possible metahuman would can control poison gas. "Fascinating, a metahuman that can manipulate poison gas," Dr. Wells said as he got to work on his computer. "Is it just poisonous gas or can he control all aerated substances?" Cisco pointed out. And how is he able to formulate the connection? Is it physiological or psychological? Caitlin added. This individual can create a mental nexus using gaseous substances. Dr. Wells said. You mean connect with gases on a molecular level? That is ridiculously cool, Cisco said. They get really excited about this stuff, Barry told Joe. The only thing I'm concerned about is putting this criminal behind bars. Except Iron Heights isn't exactly equipped to handle metahumans, Joe said. Then I guess it's fortunate that the ones we've encountered are no longer with us, Dr. Wells said. Well, unless we plan on executing every super criminal we stop, you geniuses are going to have to find someplace else to hold them, Joe said. A metahuman prison? Cool, Cisco said. Dr. Wells then saw the computer beep and activated the monitor, and they saw Naruto Namikaze riding the elevator. Well, it seems he got our message, Dr. Wells said. That's him? Barry asked. That's him, Dr. Wells said. Who him? Joe asked. That is Naruto Namikaze, our second speedster, Dr. Wells said. Stay here for a moment. I'll get him, Dr. Wells said as he strolled out of the main lab into the entrance. Naruto exited the elevator and walked out to see Dr. Wells waiting for him. I see you got my message, Dr. Wells said. Yeah, as soon as I got back to the shelter they told me and I made my way over here. You said you had answers for me? Naruto asked. I believe so. Follow me, Dr. Wells said as he went down the hall and Naruto followed. So I was right. Something did happen the night of the particle acceleration explosion, Naruto said. Something did. The night of the explosion, a dimensional barrier opened, unleashing unknown elements into our world. Antimatter, dark energy, type 0 elements. Basically, when the accelerator exploded, the world's definition of normal changed. Dr. Wells said. Dr. Wells, do you know of any people who were affected by the blast? Naruto asked. Yes, we do, Dr. Wells said. We? Naruto asked, as they walked into the main room of Star Labs, and Naruto saw all the computers and lab equipment, and a red suit in the center that Naruto saw. He also saw 4 other people in the room as well. Naruto Namikaze, I'd like to introduce you to Cisco Ramon, Caitlin Snow, Barry Allen, and Detective Joe West. Everyone meet Naruto Namikaze, Dr. Wells said as they smiled, and Naruto seemed a bit confused. Hi, Naruto said. Don't worry, Naruto, you're among friends, Dr. Wells said. So, aside from being in one of the most advanced labs in the country, why am I here? Naruto asked. Well, we figured if you were going to continue using your powers to try and help the city, then you should at least do it with someone who may have some more experience than you. Dr. Wells said. Yup, Barry said as he super sped behind Naruto, and Naruto quickly turned around. I hear you're pretty fast. No way, you're the streak, Naruto said. Yup, and I hear that you've been making a name for yourself as well, Barry said as Naruto smirked and then super sped behind Barry as Barry turned around. Trying to, Naruto said as everyone laughed. This is so cool, Cisco said. So do you guys have powers as well? Naruto asked. No, we are just here to help Barry stop other dangerous metahumans out there, Dr. Wells said. Metahumans? Naruto asked. People like Multiplex you fought a few days ago, Cisco said. Naruto said confused. The guy who could create copies of himself. The one who shot up Stag Industries that you and Barry helped stop, Detective Joe West said. Oh, so the CCPD knows about the explosion and metahumans? Naruto asked. No, the CCPD and the rest of the city doesn't know what happened for that matter. Just tall tales and rumors at this point, and we'd like to keep it that way. But these metahumans are a serious threat, and the police can't handle them, Joe said. So you guys are like some superhero crime-fighting team. Cool, Naruto said. Basically, we help Barry keep this city safe and help him develop and control his powers. We'd also like to help you as well, Naruto, Dr. Wells said. Really? Be a part of a secret crime-fighting group to bust superpowered villains. I'm in, Naruto said as they chuckled. Sweet, I get my own sidekick. Barry chuckled as he put his arm on Naruto's shoulder as Naruto removed his arm. Whoa, I'm not your sidekick, Naruto said, as everyone chuckled, and Naruto looked at the computer screens and saw copies of police files. So guys have another meta-human to find? Yeah, a new strange one. We think this guy can control poison gas, Caitlin said. Only poison gas, or can he control other gaseous substances, and does he control the gas by physical or mental means? Naruto asked, as he walked over to the computers, and he and Caitlin, Cisco, and Dr. Wells began to talk about the details, as Joe looked at Barry. Looks like he's settling right in, Joe said as Barry chuckled. A question, How do you plan on stopping this guy? I mean, if this guy can control gas, a normal prison can't keep this guy locked up, Naruto said. Well, we'll have to come up with a prison to hold them, Dr. Wells said. Cool, a meta-human prison, Naruto said. At least until we can figure out how to remove their powers. Dr. Wells said, there is one place here that might hold them, Cisco said as Caitlin and Dr. Wells realized what he meant. You can't be serious. I mean, we haven't been down there since... It's closed off, Caitlin said as she began to get emotional. Cisco is right. It could be modified to act as a makeshift prison, Dr. Wells said. What could? Barry asked. The particle accelerator, Dr. Wells said as Caitlin remembered that night, 9 months ago. Line break XXX flashback. 9 months ago in Central City, everyone was buzzing with the news that the Star Labs particle accelerator would be turned on as Dr. Wells was giving a speech to the people who came to watch it at the labs. After his speech, Dr. Wells returned to the main lab where Cisco, Caitlin, and a bunch of the other scientists were busy triple-checking everything to make sure it would run fine. Dr. Wells walked in as Cisco walked up to him. Dr. Wells, we just got the latest weather report. A big thunderstorm is rolling in, Cisco said. Well, we're not launching a space shuttle. We'll be fine, Dr. Wells said as Cisco went over to the computer, and Caitlin was talking to her fiancé Ronnie Raymond, one of the lead engineers who helped build the particle accelerator. Tahiti? Ronnie asked. I know it's a long flight, Ronnie, but we can binge-watch Orange is the New Black on the airplane, Caitlin said. Okay, but what about Italy? Pizza and wine and more pizza, Ronnie said. Yes, but Italy doesn't have Mai Tais, and a honeymoon isn't a honeymoon without Mai Tais, Caitlin said. Dr. Wells, the accelerator is primed and ready for particle injection, Cisco said as Dr. Wells smiled, and the other scientists gathered around to watch. Well, I feel I should say something profound, like one small step for man. All I can say is that I felt like I've been waiting for this day for my entire life, and I couldn't have made it this far without 2 dear friends and colleagues who are no longer with us. Minato, Kushina, this is for you, Dr. Wells said as he held his hand against the computer as it scanned his fingerprints, recognized that it was him and activated the accelerator, as everyone heard a little whir sound start. That's it. You'd think there would be like a loud bang, Cisco said. If there was a loud bang, we'd all be in trouble, Ronnie said. Take it from the guy who helped build it, Caitlin said. Ladies and gentlemen, we did it, Dr. Wells said as everyone clapped as Ronnie kissed Caitlin and smiled. Dr. Wells then opened a bottle of champagne as everyone cheered, but then they heard a weird sound as some of the champagne actually floated out of the bottle and floated in the air for a few seconds, like it was in a zero-gravity environment. It then fell to the ground as an alarm went off and a loud bang came from the accelerator. Was that the loud bang? Ronnie said. Line break XX and a flashback. Caitlin, did you hear me? I'm going down to the accelerator ring, Dr. Wells said as Barry saw how hurt Caitlin was getting at this news. Actually, Dr. Wells, I could use Caitlin's help identifying the poison gas, Barry said as Dr. Wells understood. Okay, Dr. Wells said. If that's okay with you? Barry asked. Let's go, Caitlin said as she got up and Dr. Wells went over to Naruto. Naruto, Cisco and I have to do something really quickly. Just wait here and I'll be back. Dr. Wells said. Sure, Naruto said as he stuck around. Naruto looked around at the lab as everyone left. He looked at Barry's suit that was on display, analyzing the material, and wondered what it was made of. He also looked at the rest of the lab equipment, the computer monitors hooked up to the Star Labs satellite, and the medical equipment in one of the rooms. He then made his way to another room and saw a giant treadmill with an observation room. Naruto made his way over to the treadmill and saw the wires connected to the observation room, and then saw a whole wall of boxes against the far wall. A large treadmill. Why not? Naruto said, as he took off his jacket, and put on his goggles, and stood on the treadmill. He didn't see an on button, so he decided to start running, very slowly to begin with, as the treadmill seemed to start up, so he kept running. As he was running, Dr. Wells and Cisco walked into the lab and saw Naruto was gone, but heard the treadmill running, so they walked into the observation room, and saw Naruto running on the treadmill as Dr. Wells turned on the monitors to see how Naruto was doing. Blood pressure, respiratory functions are the same as Barry's, Cisco said as he saw monitors. Yes, and his speed is about the same as Barry's as well, Dr. Wells said as he activated the speaker. Naruto, Dr. Wells shouted, as Naruto was shocked and slipped, and ended up crashing off the treadmill as Cisco and Dr. Wells saw him. Oh, that's gotta hurt, Cisco said as he and Dr. Wells left the observation room to help Naruto. They helped him onto his feet and took him back to the labs as Naruto sat down and held his wrist. "Ow, my wrist," Naruto said as Cisco and Dr. Wells looked him over. "Looks like a sprain. Don't worry, if you have Barry's powers you'll heal fast as well," Cisco said. "Cool," Naruto said as his stomach growled, and Dr. Wells chuckled and handed him an energy bar. "Along with your new speed, your metabolism shot up as well," Dr. Wells said. "Yeah, I kinda figured that," Naruto said. "Here, we made these for Barry. High-calorie energy bars to keep your metabolism up," Cisco said as Naruto ate the energy bar and felt better. "Wow, that works," Naruto said as they chuckled, and then Naruto looked at his shoes and they were worn out. "I guess normal shoes aren't really going to work with my speed," Naruto said as Cisco walked over to another room and came back with some red boots. "Here, use these. They're frictionless boots, so they should be fine with your running at high speeds," Cisco said as Naruto thanked him. "Do you guys have spare goggles?" Naruto asked as his goggles were a bit wrecked when he fell on the treadmill. "I'll see what I can do," Cisco said. "Thanks," Naruto said as Cisco took them and went over to the computers as Dr. Wells spoke to Naruto. "I'm glad to see you got a handle on your powers," Dr. Wells said. "Well, I'm just glad the high metabolism is the only thing I've got to worry about," Naruto joked as Dr. Wells chuckled. "I'm just glad you developed powers instead of staying in a coma," Dr. Wells said. "So, Dr. Wells, are you all right with all of this?" Naruto asked. "What do you mean?" Dr. Wells asked. "I mean all of this meta-humans and capturing bad guys. You and my parents were scientists, through and through. Science was your life. This," Naruto said as he pointed to Star Labs, "was what you and my parents worked for. How do you come back, when everyone you worked with, everything you held dear is gone?" Naruto asked as Dr. Wells thought for a moment, and then looked at Naruto. "By reminding myself that doing nothing or walking away is no answer to my problem. I caused all of this happen. I ruined many lives that night, because of my hubris and my ego, and I caused so much pain to so many lives, including my own," Dr. Wells said as Naruto looked at the wheelchair. "I hurt so many lives that night, but now I can try and make amends for what I did. I'm not sure how much I can help the people of this city, but one thing for sure is that I can help Barry. And help you. I just wish my parents were here," Naruto said. "I know you miss them, but they would want you to move on with your life. And if they could see you now, they would want you to trust your heart and head and do what you believe was right," Dr. Wells said as Naruto nodded, and then Cisco called to them. "Hey, Naruto, I was looking over your goggles and I found something hidden in the strap," Cisco said as he walked over and showed Naruto a small key. "A key?" Naruto asked. "Yeah, it was tucked behind one of the straps. It was actually hidden pretty well, inserted in the middle of the strap so you wouldn't notice it if you put the goggles on," Cisco said. "Why would my dad put a key in this?" Naruto asked. "Because he wanted you to find it," Dr. Wells said. "Your father must have left you that key in case something happened to him." "But what does this key unlock?" Naruto asked. "I'm not sure," Dr. Wells said as he looked at the key, and then the computer speaker went off. "Cisco, do you read me?" Barry said over the speaker as Cisco went to the computer. "Yeah, Barry, I read you," Cisco said. "There was another mysterious gas attack at the Central City Mall," Barry said as Cisco brought up blueprints of the mall and brought up the mall security radio system. "I patched into the mall's security system. According to eyewitnesses, the gas attack occurred in the main elevator at the North Wing," Cisco said. "Which one is the North Wing?" Barry asked. "The one with the big belly burger," Dr. Wells said as Cisco and Naruto looked at him weird. "I eat." Barry super sped through the mall, going so fast that he appeared as a blur to the civilians. He saw the dead women and kicked himself for not getting there sooner. He then looked around and saw green smoke go through a door that led to the maintenance entrance, and Barry ran after it. He entered the maintenance hallway to see the green smoke solidify into an actual person. "Why did you kill that woman?" Barry yelled as the man turned around. "She deserved to die. Now go run away. I still have one more name on my list. Don't make me add you to it," the man said as Barry super sped forward and punched him in the face, but he turned to smoke and then re-solidify. He then punched Barry in the face and then in the stomach as Barry fell to his knees. Barry then swung at the man's midsection, but he turned to smoke again and moved behind Barry. The smoke then actually hit Barry in the face and then forced itself into Barry's nose and mouth as Barry began to react immediately, trying to breathe. He fell to the ground as the sensors in the suit began to lower as Dr. Wells was a bit concerned. Barry, can you hear me?" Dr. Wells said over the speaker. "His vitals are weak, Dr. Wells, but they're still there. I'm sure he's fine," Naruto said as a whoosh of air hit the lab and Barry appeared near the computers. with his mask off and hyperventilating. I can't breathe, cough, Barry managed to say as his lungways began to constrict. He needs oxygen. Get the crash cart. Dr. Wells shouted as Cisco ran to get it, while Naruto got him on the lab gurney as Caitlin arrived. Barry, Caitlin shouted as she ran in, and Naruto unzipped his jacket, and Cisco tried to get a read on what was in his lungs. Cut me open. The poison's still in me, Barry managed to say. He brought us a sample. Caitlin, we need to do a pulmonary biopsy. Extract an active portion of that gas, Dr. Wells said. I can't give you any anesthetics. Your metabolism will burn right through it, Caitlin told Barry. I heal quick, remember, Barry said. Do it, Dr. Wells said. Cisco, hand me the syringe, Caitlin said as Cisco handed her a syringe with a pretty large needle. This is going to hurt, a lot. It's a small needle, he probably won't even feel it, Cisco said. You're definitely going to feel it, Caitlin said as she stabbed the needle in his chest as Barry felt the extreme pain. Line break, Kexex. Barry soon regained consciousness, felt a lot of pain in his chest as he saw Cisco looking at him. The streak lives, Cisco said. You'd be dead if your lung cells didn't regenerate so quickly, Caitlin said. Oh, my chest feels like that one time I had a cigarette, Barry said, as Caitlin looked at him weird. Yeah, teen me lived for danger. This isn't funny, you could've— I didn't, Barry said. Now that we have a sample, we'll get to work analyzing it, figure out the makeup of the poison, maybe get a clue to his human identity, Dr. Wells said. Or at least find out a way to stop him from turning into a mist, Cisco said as he got a smile. The Mist. Okay, that's his name, end of discussion. I have to get to the station, Barry said. You should be resting, Naruto told him. I have to talk to Joe, Barry said as he left. Barry got changed and headed back to the police precinct, and walked into his lab where he saw Joe looking over some files. Joe, I had him. The metahuman, we were wrong, he's not controlling airborne toxins. He can literally transform himself into poison gas, Barry said. That's new. The victim was a judge. We're going through some of her old cases to see if there's a connection. Joe said. It's too late, I should have been faster, Barry said. Focus on the job, don't think about that right now, Joe told him. You don't want to know what I'm thinking about, Barry said as he walked over to the window ledge. My dad has spent 14 years in a 6x8 cell for a crime he didn't commit. I couldn't save my mom, but I can save him, Barry said. Didn't I tell you that we would get your father out of prison together, Joe said. I don't need your help, Joe. I could be in and out of there with him before anyone even sees me, Barry said. Okay, you break him out of there, then what? He's on the run, for the rest of his life, and something tells me that he's not as fast as you are, Joe said. You don't know what it's like there, Barry said. You think I don't understand what you're feeling? I've been a cop for almost as long as you've been alive, so you should know that putting on that suit does not make everybody safe. For everybody you save, there's going to be somebody you can't, and the hardest thing you're going to have to face is not some monster out there with superpowers, it's going to be that feeling of uselessness. When you can't do anything. Or the guilt that waits on you when you make a mistake. Joe told Barry as he thought for a moment. Some things, Barry, you can't fight. Some things you just have to live with, Joe told him as he left. Back with Naruto, he returned to the shelter and walked into his room to see Tsunade and Shizune waiting for him. Hi, Naruto said. Hey Naruto, Tsunade said. Is something wrong? Naruto asked. I don't know, we were hoping you could tell us, Tsunade said, as Naruto looked at her. You were in a coma for 9 months and when you get back you begin to act strange. Not to mention the fact that Dr. Wells from Star Labs seems to have taken an extreme interest in what happened to you, and that doesn't normally happen, Shizune said. Relax, nothing's going on, Naruto told them, as they knew he was lying. You always were a bad liar, Naruto, Tsunade said, as she stood up and walked up to Naruto. Seriously, what's going on? We're worried, Tsunade said as Naruto saw they were concerned, and he didn't feel right from keeping this from them. They needed to know. Believe me, it's a long and complicated story, Naruto told them. We can keep up, Tsunade said as Naruto sat down and made the decision to tell them the truth. Line break, XX. After a good night's sleep, Naruto felt refreshed and returned back to Star Labs. He super sped to the labs and walked through the front door to the main labs. He pulled out the key that Cisco found yesterday in his dad's old goggles from his pocket. He looked at it and wondered what it was for. He then walked into the main lab to see Cisco working at a table and Dr. Wells at the computers. Morning, Naruto said as Dr. Wells and Cisco saw Naruto walk in. Morning, Dr. Wells said as Cisco walked over to Naruto. Hey, fixed your dad's goggles, Cisco said as he handed them to Naruto, and Naruto smiled as he saw they were fixed. Thanks, Cisco, Naruto said. No problem. I did have some ideas about some alterations, so let me know. I've got some great ideas, Cisco said, as Naruto chuckled. So any idea on what kind of poison we've got? Naruto asked. Almost. The computer is almost done with the reconstruction and identification of the poison, Dr. Wells said as he rolled over to Naruto, who put his dad's goggles around his neck. How are you? Fine, Naruto said. Good. Do you still have that key? Dr. Wells asked. Yeah. Did you find out what this unlocks? Naruto asked. No, but I think I may have an idea, Dr. Wells said as he and Naruto walked out of the lab. Cisco, watch over the computers and contact us when it's done, Dr. Wells said as Cisco nodded. Dr. Wells then led Naruto to one office that Naruto recognized. My dad's office, Naruto said. Yeah, I figured if he put that key in there, this would be the best place to start looking, Dr. Wells said as Naruto nodded. Naruto then opened the door and saw an partially empty room that his dad used to work in. Some old boxes and furniture were still there collecting dust as Naruto remembered when he was younger. He used to spend a lot of time in this office. Wow, it seems like yesterday when my dad used to help me with my homework here, Naruto said as he remembered sitting in an old chair near his dad's desk. Yes, those were good times, Dr. Wells said as he smiled as well. They looked around for something that might help them. Dr. Wells looked over the desk while Naruto looked around the rest of the room. He went to the far wall and saw an old photo of his family outside Star Labs when he was younger. Naruto smiled as he remembered the memory but noticed how some dust seemed to seep under the photo, which was kind of weird. Naruto then reached up to the photo and took it off the wall and saw it was covering a keyhole. Dr. Wells, Naruto said as Dr. Wells rolled over to Naruto and saw the keyhole. Your father was always a clever person, Dr. Wells said as Naruto smiled. Naruto then took the key out and inserted it into the keyhole and turned it 90 degrees and heard a click. Then part of the bookcase pushed out and Naruto saw it was a door. Naruto then opened the bookcase door and walked in as the light in the room turned on. Naruto saw computer monitors around the room that were connected to various machines, but the main focal point of the room was in the middle. It was a suit. Not a business or party suit but some kind of lab suit. Naruto saw it had a large dark orange arrow-like streak down the middle of the suit, and dark orange gloves and boot, with the rest of the suit colored white. He also saw the suit covered the neck, and parts of the head including the jaw, and sides of the face including the ears, but left most of face and hair uncovered. Naruto walked around the suit, getting a closer look, and saw it didn't look like material used for regular clothes. What is it? Naruto asked. Not sure, maybe one of your father's secret projects, Dr. Wells said. Secret projects? Naruto asked. If he went to the trouble of hiding the door and key, it was probably for a reason, Dr. Wells said as Naruto nodded and looked at the suit, and then walked over to one of the computers. He pressed a button, and the screen turned on but said password required. Naruto thought for a moment, then typed in his father's birth date, his mother's birth date, and his mother's name, but it was wrong. Naruto then typed in his name, and it was right. Project Control? Naruto asked. Never heard of it, Dr. Wells said. It says here that this is a prototype environmental suit, designed for experiments with hazardous conditions. It has built-in sensors to monitor the researcher's body for any injuries or exposure to dangerous elements. The suit insulates the body's natural heat in situations dealing with extreme cold, and can regulate cooling in situations with extreme heat. The suit also is tear-resistant and friction-proof. My father designed it as the scientist's perfect protection for experiments, for the scientist to maintain absolute control on what he was doing. Naruto said. Interesting, Dr. Wells said as he looked over the suit. I guess my dad had his fill of secrets, Naruto said as he looked at the suit and then at the computers that had recorded its last use. We all have our secrets. Don't tell me that you don't keep certain things close to the chest, Dr. Wells joked as Naruto chuckled. I wonder why my dad never told me about this or why he never tried to put this into use for other scientists, Naruto said out loud. My guess is that either he wanted to keep one thing for himself or he was afraid how other scientists or people might use it, Dr. Wells said. I guess so, Naruto said as they heard the intercom go off. Dr. Wells, the analysis of the poison gas is done, Cisco said over the speakers as Dr. Wells replied, using the speaker in his chair. We're on our way back, Dr. Wells said, as he and Naruto went back to the lab. So what do we got? Naruto asked. This, Cisco said as he brought up a 3D molecular image of the toxin. Hydrogen cyanide. Dr. Wells said as he looked at the image. There's something else mixed in as well, right? Yeah, it was some kind of sedative, Cisco said. That's weird, Naruto said, as Barry and Caitlin walked in, having heard Cisco call to them over the speakers at the particle accelerator chamber. Hey, check this out. It's a 3D molecular model of the gas we retrieved from your lungs, Cisco said. We have identified the toxin, Dr. Wells said. Hydrogen cyanide? Barry asked. What's interesting is what is mixed in with the cyanide. A sedative, Dr. Wells said as Barry got an idea. Of course, the night of the explosion find out if anyone was executed. Barry told Caitlin, who used the computer. Why? Naruto asked. That sedative is given to criminals on death row before they go to the gas chamber and breath in hydrogen cyanide. Barry said. That's right, Dr. Wells said. There was someone executed, Kyle Nimbus, Caitlin said as she brought up his file and photo on the computer. That's him, Barry said, recognizing him. He was a hitman for the Darbinian crime family. They turned against him and testified. Judge Teresa Howard was the judge at his trial. She sentenced him to death. Caitlin said. He must have been affected by the particle accelerator while he was being gassed, which then fused his body with it, Naruto said. Records indicate the execution was completed, Cisco said. Well, that's why we didn't find a DNA match. The database only holds records of the living, Barry said. Right, Dr. Wells replied. He said there was one more person on his list. Check the arrest record. Who caught him? That could be his next target. Barry said as Caitlin used the computer. Barry, the lead detective, Caitlin said as she showed Barry the screen, and Barry saw it was Joe. Joe, Barry said as he took out his phone and called Joe. He waited for an answer, but Joe didn't pick up his phone. He tried 2 more times, but nothing, so he then called the police station. Eddie. Barry, what's up? Eddie asked. Hey, do you know where Joe went? He's not picking up his cell, Barry said. Not sure, Joe said. Eddie, it's really important I speak to him. I need to know where he went. Barry said. He went to Iron Heights, to see your dad. Eddie as Barry went wide-eyed, and then hung up. Barry, I reverse-engineered an antidote to the toxin. I hope you won't need it. Caitlin said as she handed him a injector with the antidote. Barry thanked her, and then got suited up and left. Line break, CAX-X. Joe arrived at Iron Heights Prison, and went through security check-in and registration, and was then moved to the visiting section where visitors could talk to family or loved ones through phones and a mirror. Joe walked in and sat down at a booth, and then Henry Allen, Barry's father, walked through the other side and was confused as to why Joe was here. He sat down and took the phone off the wall as Joe picked up the other phone. What are you doing here? Is Barry all right? Henry asked. He's fine, Joe said. Then to what do I owe this visit? Henry asked. I know I should have come to see you sooner, Joe said. You just weren't up for a little chit-chat with the man who murdered his wife in front of his own son? Henry asked as Joe got serious. Except now I know you didn't kill your wife, Joe said as Henry was a bit shocked and listened. Some new evidence has come to light. I can't go into detail, it's just that... Look, the important thing is I'm reopening the case. I'm going to find out who really killed Nora, and I promise you, Henry, I'm going to get you out of here. I am so sorry. Doesn't matter that you didn't believe in me, 'cause you always believed in my son, Henry said as the 2 old friends were starting to repair their friendship. Henry then heard some wind rustling and the guard chalking, and saw the guard in the room surrounded by a green smoke. Joe turned to see the guard chalking, gasping for breath and trying to breathe, but he couldn't, and fell to the ground dead. Joe got up and walked to the guard as Henry stood up to get a better view. Then the green smoke formed in front of Joe and solidified to show Nimbus, and Joe recognized him. Nimbus, you're supposed to be dead, Joe said in shock. So are you, Nimbus said as he turned to gas and sent some through Joe's mouth and nose as Joe began to cough and hyperventilate as he tried to breathe but couldn't. Joe fell to the ground and began into seizures as Henry shouted for help. Joe, help guards, help! Henry shouted as the green smoke left through the ventilation system. Henry continued to watch as Joe was shaking when he saw a flash of yellow lightning zoomed into the room, and Henry saw some man in a red suit appear next to Joe. Barry arrived and saw Joe going into a seizure. He then took out the antidote and injected it into Joe's neck, as Joe seemed to calm down. Barry then looked up to see his dad looking at him and Joe. So his dad wouldn't recognize him, he moved his face at super sped, vibrating it so that his face wouldn't be clear. Barry then looked back down at Joe as Joe started to regain consciousness. Go get him, Joe whispered as Barry nodded and left. Back at Star Labs, they were monitoring the situation, and saw that Barry used the cure on Joe, the only one. He used the antidote on Joe, Caitlin said. You need to stay away from him, Barry. Do not breathe him in, she said through the communicator. What am I supposed to do? Barry asked. Just keep him coming at you, that should sap his strength, Caitlin said as Naruto was sick of waiting on the sidelines and he got an idea. But it would take 2 speedsters. Barry, just hold him off for another minute. I got an idea, Naruto said as he then grabbed his goggles on the table and Dr. Wells knew what he was planning to do. Naruto, wait! Harrison was cut off when Naruto's super sped away. Naruto ran to his dad's office, grabbed the suit, and then booked it to the road leading to Iron Heights as fast as he could, while also putting on the suit. He unzipped it, strapped it on, and pulled the sleeves up and put on the face part, as he then put on his goggles, and ran through the city in a blur of orange lightning. Barry was dodging and running away from Nimbus, but didn't see a smoke cloud to his side. The cloud solidified a bit and smacked Barry through the air, and sent him tumbling to the ground. Barry groaned as he saw the mist heading towards him, but was then tackled to the side and saved. He turned to see Naruto in a white and orange suit with his goggles on. Came just in time, Naruto said as he helped Barry to his feet. Yeah, nice suit, Barry said as Naruto smiled. They saw the green mist solidify into Nimbus as he was beginning to breathe heavily. So, what's the plan? An old high school experiment. Trap some gas in a vacuum, Naruto said as Barry smiled at the plan. They nodded, and then super sped to Nimbus as he exploded in a cloud of green smoke. Naruto and Barry ran around Nimbus in a circle, creating an air vacuum that would prevent Nimbus from smoking out. The vacuum wasn't giving his smoke a chance to leave. Nimbus concentrated as hard as he could, straining himself, but his smoke wasn't leaving the vacuum, and after a minute, Naruto and Barry stopped running to see Nimbus on the ground, unconscious from the vacuum that also sucked up the oxygen. Nicely done there, Barry said as he pat Naruto on the shoulder. All in a day's work, Naruto said. Nicely done, both of you, Dr. Wells said over the communicator. Now bring him back here, the pipeline is ready for him. Line break XX. After defeating Nimbus and taking him back to Star Labs, Barry rushed Joe to the hospital where they were looking after him. He stayed with Joe, and after about an hour, Joe began to wake up and was greeted by the sight of Barry sleeping in a chair. Barry groaned as he began to wake up and saw Joe looking at him. Been a while since I saw you sleep, Joe said as Barry chuckled and rubbed his eyes. Rescuing you is exhausting, Barry joked as he got out of the chair. I really miss the ability to be able to ground you, Joe said as he chuckled. Sorry I went and grew up, Barry said as he shook Joe's hand. I could have gotten my dad out of Iron Heights tonight. I know, Joe replied, but you were right. It's not the way, Barry said. Daddy, they heard as they saw Iris and Eddie walk in. Iris walked up and hugged her dad. Hey baby, I'm fine, don't worry, Joe said. I'll let you guys talk, Barry said as he left. Back at Star Labs, Dr. Wells, Caitlin, Cisco, and Naruto, still in his suit, but with his goggles off and the face part of his suit down, were standing outside the particle accelerator chamber as they saw Nimbus tried and smoke out, or bust open his new jail cell. But it wasn't working. Will it hold? Caitlin asked. The barrier is powered by an 8.3 Tesla superconducting electromagnet, which is about 100 times the strength of Earth's magnetic field, Cisco said. In other words, yes, Naruto said as they looked at Nimbus. He seems angry. Indeed, Wells said as he pressed a button on his wheelchair pad. Goodbye, he said as the accelerator door closed. So we're just supposed to get used to working in a lab above a makeshift prison containing criminals with superpowers? Caitlin asked. You'd be surprised about what you can get you used to, Dr. Wells said. Can things get weirder? Naruto asked. Coming from the new speedster wearing the outfit, Cisco said as Naruto looked at himself. I think I look good, and it's a nice fit, Naruto said as he patted his shoulder. I kind of like the color scheme. But I'm not sure how I feel about the sort of weird arrow down the middle. And there's not really a mask, Cisco said. Well, I'm sure when my dad was making this he didn't think to really conceal his identity, Naruto said as he put his goggles on. But that's what my goggles are for. He's got a point, Caitlin said. Well, I got some ideas of upgrades and enhancements if you want to wear goggles, and I'd like to analyze that suit so I can make more just in case, Cisco said. All right, Naruto said. Now all we need is a name for you, Caitlin said. Oh, I got it. How about Kid Streak? Cisco asked. No, I'm not a kid. I'm about the same age as Barry, Naruto said. A few years younger. How about the Orange Flash? Caitlin asked. Naruto said, not sure about it. Well, maybe if you hadn't left so abruptly we could have talked this out. Cisco said. Hey, I was just acting on impulse, Naruto said as Dr. Wells smiled. How about impulse? Dr. Wells asked. A driving force of momentum. I like it, Naruto said. Impulse, not bad, Cisco said. All right, Naruto, your impulse, Caitlin said. Good, well, I got to see Tsunade. I was supposed to be back a while ago, Naruto said as he super sped and left. After Naruto left, Cisco and Caitlin decided to hang out like the old days, and Dr. Wells was doing some research before he left. He was in the main room, drinking a glass of scotch as he looked at Barry's costume. Line break XX flashback. Dr. Wells was at the computer as everyone else were starting to evacuate and get clear. Dr. Wells had stayed behind to make sure that Cisco and Ronnie had vented the system properly. He then got a call from Cisco. Dr. Wells, Ronnie did it. He vented the system, Cisco said. Good, Cisco. I'm on my way down, Dr. Wells said as he walked out of the room. He walked through the hallway and stopped at the wall. He pressed a button and the wall opened to reveal a dark room. He walked in and went to the far wall where a console was placed. He walked over and activated the console as two holographic screens appeared. They were real-time footage of placed cameras at two locations. One was at a gas station on the outskirts of the city, and the other was of a CSI lab at the police station. Dr. Wells watched as Barry tried to close the ceiling hatch in his lab and Naruto ran for cover from the storm. Then a flash of lightning filled the sky, and then two bolts of lightning struck, one hitting Barry and the other hitting Naruto. See you soon, boys, Dr. Wells said. And guys, this is the end. I hope you guys enjoyed it well. Until next time, peace.